Hi, everyone. I'm Evan. I'm the community manager at Tatum. And today we're joined by Rohas Nagpal, who is a cybersecurity and cyber law expert and blockchain entrepreneur and educator. Rohas has had a long career in coding, hacking, cybercrime investigation, and education. And today we're going to be talking about his new blockchain ADDS course, which is a masterclass in blockchain development that launches next month. So thanks for joining us, Rohas. How are you doing?
My pleasure. I'm
Very
doing
great.
well.
So you're a blockchain educator. How did your own blockchain education happen? How did you get into it, and how did it progress to where you are today?
Sure. So I actually got introduced to Bitcoin sometime in about 2010 or 11 when I was helping one of the law enforcement agencies investigating a case of the drug mafia using Bitcoin for payments. So that was the first time I came across it, and I was quite fascinated with the technology. So on and off, I kept reading about it, but I got into it full time in 2015. And
Mhm.
at that time, there weren't really any courses, so to say. In fact, even Ethereum had not been developed at that time. So I started off by installing and running Bitcoin nodes. Then I moved on to multi-chain and actually practically set up blockchains to actually understand how it works. So that's
Mhm.
how I got introduced. And then in 2017, I went on to form Bankchain, which is a community of 37 banks across the world. And we also had IBM, Microsoft, and Intel as part of it. So that helped me to put my theoretical knowledge into a lot of practical use, and I helped develop a lot of enterprise solutions. So that's how my journey has been. But unfortunately, Bankchain had to be put into hibernation because of the regulatory issues in India.
Mhm.
So now this year, I've moved in with a completely new project, which is called the Wrapped Asset Project. And
Mhm.
we're looking at taking the world's assets from patents and copyrights to commodities like gold and silver and coffee and putting them onto public blockchain. So that's how my journey has been.
Great. It's sounds super interesting. So, what made you get into the education side of things? What made you want to start educating people about blockchain?
So it's basically the misconceptions and the number of failed projects that I see.
Mhm.
Every time a blockchain project fails, it actually harms the entire industry. People
Mhm.
begin to think that blockchain is not good. So I want people to understand what blockchain can do and what it cannot do. Because
Mhm.
most of the use cases that I see in the world, they're not good use cases.
Sure.
When you're trying to put blockchain into use cases which involve huge amount of data, it is bound to fail. So
Mhm.
my main purpose is to get people to understand what's a good blockchain use case and what's not a good blockchain. And then secondly, I feel that because people don't know much about it, they go about projects in the completely wrong way. So
Mhm.
I'm trying to, in my own way, trying to get people to see the correct way to build blockchain solutions.
That's great. That's great. And well, one side tangent here. Um, Another misconception. You mentioned that you got into or you heard about Bitcoin through investigating a drug mafia. A lot of people think that blockchain or Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies in general are just used by criminals. Um, how do you dispel that misconception?
Sure. So while I would say definitely cryptocurrencies do provide a better way for criminals to do their business, because even that's a use case. It may be illegal, but it's still a use case.
Sure.
Although what I've noticed now is from where earlier everything happened around Bitcoin, today most criminals use privacy coins like
Mhm.
Monero, for example, rather than Bitcoin. But there's no doubt it is happening.
Yeah.
And in fact, that's the reason just later this week, I'm doing a free webinar on cryptocurrency investigation and forensics,
Sure.
how the law enforcement agencies can actually investigate cases. Well, to be very honest, that use case will continue. More and more criminals will use cryptocurrency. There's no denying that.
Hmm.
It's bound
Sure.
to happen.
Sure. But it's one of many use cases. So yeah, I think it gets
Absolutely.
too much spotlight. Yeah. Cool. So you're from India. Why do you think India is such a hotbed of talent for blockchain developers and just developers in general?
Sure. So, well, first of all, in India, we have a huge population and a
Mhm.
very large number of people do engineering here. That's one of the most important career opportunities or options that people look at. So, and because of that, we've got a huge number of developers, and fintech has picked up very well. Financial technology. So, in fact, if you look in India, we have something called the UPI, which is
Mhm.
like one of its kind in the world. So, payments within India, all you need is somebody's UPI address, which looks like an email ID, and you can send money to anybody in seconds, absolutely free of cost, 24 by 7. So,
Okay.
because of so many fintech startups that have come in India, naturally a lot of developers have learned blockchain and they are really like, working on it.
Okay, interesting.
And that's why I think for Tatum also, India is one of the biggest markets.
Sure. Yeah, and we're very interested in it for sure. So your course, like how is it meant to help participants, and how did you choose the participants, and then what will they be able to do by the time they finish your course?
So my objective behind the course is that whoever completes it would understand administration, security, design, all those essential elements that you should be able to build a blockchain solution from the ground up. Of course, you may not in the real world do all the developing yourself. You may actually need to handle a team, but you should be clear about how to design, what their architecture looks like, how to choose the correct blockchain framework. Many people don't even know that there are so many frameworks to choose from. So I want to take it from the ground up and help people understand all the aspects and steps of it. And that is why, in fact, the assessment is also a very practical one, where they would choose a case study and build a complete blockchain solution around it. So it's
Okay.
very, very practical oriented.
Great. Another facet of your education, I read in your bio that your first student was your mom, and your daughter is very into crypto as well. How was it teaching your own family about blockchain?
Oh, that was really nice. So in fact, I'm quite happy that my mother picks it up really fast.
Really?
And
Okay.
yeah, she watches every video and reads every piece of content that I put up there, and she understands it all, and she asks me a lot of questions. And she also is now a small crypto investor.
Okay.
So the way I look at it is, if I'm able to teach a younger person like my daughters, so I have two daughters. One is in the 8th grade, the other in the 11th.
Mhm.
So if they can understand and my mother can understand, then anybody in the world can understand. That's
Yeah.
the way I look at it. Yeah.
Well, you must be a pretty good teacher, because I've tried to explain what I do to my parents a few times and it's not happening yet, but I'm going to keep trying. So cool. So what's your vision for blockchain technology, and what role would you like to play in its future?
Sure. So I think we are now ending stage 2 of blockchain. So stage 1 was where we had individual cryptos like Bitcoin and Litecoin.
Mhm.
Stage 2 is when we have this series of decentralized finance blockchains. And now I think the world is heading towards stage 3, which is hybrid finance. So my
Mhm.
logic is very simple. DeFi tries to make the banks look like the enemies. So
Mhm.
everywhere in the world, the narrative is that banks are bad, fiat is bad, let's kill it. But that's the wrong way to think, right?
Mhm.
It's banks and fiat currencies which have been working for such a long time. And you can't just suddenly replace them. That makes no sense.
Mhm.
So I am trying to pioneer the thinking of hybrid finance, where why can't banks use blockchain? So why is it that only the startups should use blockchain? Why aren't the banks doing it? So
Mhm.
I'm trying to focus on getting the governments and the banks and large corporate entities onto the blockchain. And I think that is going to be stage 3, which is what I call hybrid finance or hi-fi. And I
Okay.
hope I'm able to succeed in that.
Great. Well, that's an inspiring vision for the future, and yeah, I do think it's too often DeFi versus traditional finance, and there is a hybrid solution that's much more practical and makes more sense. So it's great. So, well, that's all I've got. Thank you so much for sitting down and talking with us,
My
and
pleasure.
we'll include links to your course. The videos will be available online afterwards.
That's
You
correct.
mentioned.
They
Okay,
will be.
great. So any of you can watch all of the material if you want, and are you going to have another session of it later? So this is
I guess so. Once the first batch is over. So I got a very good response. I had about 600 applications from 35 countries. So
Mhm.
I've narrowed it down to 50 students,
Great.
because I don't think I can manage more than that in an online practical session, where you have to give them a lot of support.
Sure.
But I do hope to have another batch after that.
Okay, so yeah, we'll link to all of your socials and your website and stuff, and keep your eyes peeled, everyone, for the next session if it does happen after this one. So thanks again, Rojas, and to all you developers, happy coding. See you next time. Bye bye.
Bye.